It's very emergent. Emergence is great in games when it's authentic, but if you're fucking shoehorned into lobbies with people that are gonna circle jerk you all day, there's nothing special about that circle jerk. I want my circle jerks to be special, okay?
Oh, special circle jerk.
So I wanted to talk about Arc Raiders and its aggression-based matchmaking because I think it's stupid, and having recently found out about it, not really having yet had the chance to dive fully into Arc Raiders and enjoy it, I have now lost all steam or all interest. I've lost all interest in playing it, really, for the most part. Like, I still want to play it, but like my desire to play is diminished greatly due to the discovery or admission or revelation from the developers that they do take aggression into consideration in the matchmaking process. You have an invisible aggression score, which is essentially kind of like when games have a hidden MMR. Like, you have a ranking in the game, but you're not allowed to see it. The game knows, and then it matches you against clones of yourself, and for like average to above average players, it really sucks. And it's really only beneficial to those players if they really love like ranked grind, but part of a ranked grind is seeing your rank. So invisible scores, they're all bad. They suck. Don't have invisible scores in games when they affect things like matchmaking. The fact that this has been, suspected for the longest time is crazy, because I learned about it the other day, and I've had several days to cool off. I was really pissed off when I first heard it, and I just kept going off on tangents, and, I was spastic, so this is why we're doing this a few days later. It disagrees with the philosophy of an extraction shooter. By their very nature, they are meant to be, I don't want to say soul-crushing, but they're not meant to be easy. It's kind of like Dark Souls. There's always been the discussion on Dark Souls and should it have an easy mode, and the general consensus, my opinion also happens to be, no, there should not be necessarily an easy mode. Am I vehemently opposed to it? No, but would it essentially change, the allure of such an experience? Abso-fucking-lutely. Part of what makes Dark Souls is the fact that you have to overcome the hardship and the difficulty spikes. That's the whole point, is overcoming the challenge and like feeling hopeless, like there's no way I can do this, and then you do it. So like with an extraction shooter, it's the same kind of thing. It's all about the small victories. I got the AA batteries, I found the duct tape, motherfucker, I got it out in my ass, and I just found the 6th one that I need. I had 5 for a week and I just caught the last one. And if that doesn't sound fun, that's because extraction shooters aren't for you. You can't make everyone happy in any situation, really. What's the quote? You can make some people happy all the time, or you can make all the people happy some of the time, but you'll never make all the people happy all the time. This is a perfect example of that, and people like me, obviously not everyone is like me, and that is perfectly fine. However, I'm entitled to my opinion, and I don't really have interest in a game where I can't just let my mood dictate how I play that match. Maybe I'm an aggressive player, and I come across a guy and I shoot at him. He's like, oh man, or I don't fucking know. He says anything. He does anything. And I'm just like, I find it funny. And I'm like, my bad, bro, whatever. And then he talks back to me. We have an exchange. Maybe I give him some loot. The fun is in the fact that I didn't expect to come across a friendly player. Or, maybe there's an instance where I'm in a firefight with somebody, we both get real fucked up, and then one of us says, hey man, you want to chill? I'm like, yeah, you want to chill? Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're bros, Maybe that motherfucker shoots me in the back. Maybe I should just not let him be behind me. Maybe that's part of the fucking fun. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole fucking point, is not knowing and being able to decide on the fly. But if there's a hidden aggression score, it's like walking on eggshells. Like, that's ridiculous. And so then we get into the balancing and how these systems work. And, you know, people have been testing it, and it is way harder to stay in the peaceful lobbies if you don't understand how the system works. And so then you end up getting smashed for several games because you defended yourself against a player, or, you know, somebody killed somebody, and so then you killed unprovoked, and so then you go and kill the guy that was being a douchebag because, you know, you're a savior, you're a gamer savior, and why wouldn't you? And I don't know. But then all of a sudden you're penalized because you killed the douchebag. What sense does that make? All of a sudden you went from playing a game where you enjoy being friendly and embracing that friendly PvE mentality and whatever, but then all of a sudden now you're punished because you defended someone else, or even worse, you defend yourself. Someone shoots at you and instinctively, reactively, you pop them. Now, granted, time to kill in Arc Raiders is longer than that, so it's not like Tarkov where you can, you know, rotate on someone and just, like, nail them. But, still, you know, somebody shoots at you, you defend yourself, and now you're labeled a bad player. They don't get penalized. All of this shit, none of this shit is new. Tarkov has struggled with, you know, balancing kind of things like this all the time simply because of scav and scav rep, or scav runs and scav rep. So why make an extraction shooter if you're not going to look at the pioneers and try to learn from the failures they made along the way? I'm not saying Tarkov is perfect, far from it. It's a very flawed experience. There's no such thing as a perfect experience. And maybe Arc Raiders is just an imperfect experience, and that's okay. I love Embark. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not dogging on the studio. I just happen to think that this is the wrong move for the game. The game should be allowed to be its own thing, its own identity. Embark made the finals, and there's no fall damage in the finals. But, you know, if half the community was like, I'm not going to play the finals because there's no fall damage, and they tried to appease both communities, like those that, like, I don't know, like, it just doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Allow the game to be what it is without trying to cater it to multiple groups of people trying to play the same game, because logically speaking, there's no incentive to be an aggressive player, because one, from, you know, the PvP can be engaging and whatever if everybody's on the same playing field, as in you don't know what's going to happen. But if one person is used to playing one game where there's player cooperation, jolly cooperation, since we wanted to mention Dark Souls earlier, and then they're thrust into a different lobby, that's not going to be fun for them, because all of a sudden it's a completely different game, and they're just more incentivized to roll over and go back to their easy lobbies where they can find all their fucking duct tape without taking a week to do so. I don't know. I don't see the advantage in disadvantaging yourself for an invisible score. Now, if you got special gear, special cosmetics, a rank icon, that's the laziest thing they could do, and I don't think they even did that. You know, like, you get nothing for taking on the extra challenge that is a completely different experience from a PvE game. And it's even more ridiculous than a standard extraction shooter, which isn't what the extraction hardcore players want. You know, like, they don't want every single person to be a clone of themselves and be a toxic fuck. Like, I don't know. There's a balance that has to be struck, and they're not doing it. Maybe I'm rambling at this point, maybe not. Kayla, you had mentioned that your perception of it was that it was kind of a good thing and whatever, because you were playing and all of a sudden, you know, there were 6 of you and you were all having fun, being chill, goofing off, whatever. Y'all go down the hallway, and then one guy annihilated all 6 of you and then looted you. He probably spit on you and called you a bitch too. I don't know.
He no mic'd it.
He no mic'd it.
No, didn't even say anything. But anyway, to an extent, I think that I don't think it should be an invisible score. Okay. But I think that they should at the very least, tell you when you've been labeled an aggressive player. Like, have a badge that says aggressive or peaceful.
Have a
Maybe you
reputation
can't see it
meter.
during match.
A reputation meter,
maybe
like, have been in 1,000 other games already? Like, something else they could have learned from any other game?
Even if it's only something that you see, so that you can still have that mystique of, oh, is this an aggressive player, is it not? But something that you're able to keep track of, so that you know, hey, I've been killing a lot of people, and maybe I shouldn't kill so many people.
Well, see, that's the thing. If you come across that conclusion naturally when the game isn't forcing you to do so, it's much more valuable and meaningful to you, the player, and the community as a whole. Like, there's an ebb and flow to the community then, you know, like, people can have alliances like, oh, I'm humans first, fuck the clankers, blah, 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 blah. And then those resistances kind of oppose one another in game, you know. You might encounter someone, it feels like in the wild, but when it's aggression based, you're not in the wild. You're in a controlled environment that is catered to whatever. And, you know, all this is just talking about the aggression, not even the skill-based aspect of the matchmaking, because that's its own thing.
I also think it shouldn't be quite so strict. When we first talked about it, I didn't know to what extent they were, because like you mentioned that one kill of a player puts you in aggressive lobbies for 20 matches. You know, that's a bit extreme. I think if you kill people a few matches in a row, we'll throw you in some PvP matches where most people are that way, and then if you don't kill anybody in those matches, then we'll throw you back in a peaceful lobby.
Okay, but here is the paradox, though. Here's the paradox. If you do then kill people and you end up in aggressive lobbies, how exactly do you balance getting that player back in the peaceful lobbies? Because in the aggressive
matches, because they didn't want to kill anybody that time.
So what? You have to smurf the system? You have to game the matchmaking? Like,
how often do you go into? It's an extraction shooter. How often do you go into raid and come out with nothing anyway?
Going into raid and coming out with nothing is completely fucking different than throwing 15 raids in a row to skew the matchmaking. Like, matchmaking manipulation isn't...
15. I said it's a tad aggressive.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying you shouldn't have to manipulate the matchmaking at all. If they're going to do something stupid like this, just make PvE lobbies and PvP lobbies, and you queue for whichever fucking one you want. The PvE lobbies, you can't hurt other players. The PvP lobbies, you can hurt other players. Obviously, that contrast will draw the players to one side or the other. The reason they don't do that is because it very visibly divides the player base, and that's not a good look. So what they've done is they've hidden the segregation in their system so that it's not completely obvious. And their hope was, I guarantee you, their hope was that it would just go by unnoticed. The people that wanted PvE would find, for the most part, PvE lobbies, and the people that wanted PvP would find mostly PvP lobbies. But what they provided is not what either camp wants. And that is why I don't think... Now, I'm not saying the game is doomed. I'm just saying maybe this deserves some of their fucking attention. And I'm nobody. Nobody's gonna fucking listen to me, realistically. Who gives a shit? I'm putting it out there because I know that I have a point. You may not agree with it, but I'm also right, so fuck you.
I don't completely disagree with it, but I see what they're trying to do.
Well, the fact that looting dead player bodies, people you didn't even kill, counts towards your aggression score, that one kill can reset weeks of peaceful play, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier when I said that there will be balancing issues, let alone not ethical issues, but I guess like philosophical issues. The whole thing stinks, and I was so excited to play this game. I just had not yet gotten to it. I'm still in love with the finals. I hadn't played a shooter in however many months, and then got back into the finals right before Christmas and shit, and you know, like all the red stuff, and you know,
red.
I love red. So anyway, you got me Arc Raiders because you wanted to play it, not because I wanted it, not because I said I needed it. I was happy just watching people play because I had a pretty good feeling just from watching how the game was gonna feel to play. And I played 2 matches that one day just to say I played it. Didn't feel really drawn to playing it because I didn't want to invest the time into it when I'm playing other games and whatever. And this is why, you know, probably why Spectre Divide failed, because I was like, I'll wait until it's better and then I'll play it. And by the time, before I could even like take a sip of coffee and look back to see if it got any better, they were canceling it. So shit.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that I no longer want to play Arc Raiders. That is Embark's fault. And it's not even that they divulged this, because people were already suspecting that this is how the game worked. Just from the public discourse, some people were talking about how they love the game, playing it solo, and, you know, solo is so easy compared to squads, and, you know, that still relatively is true, but if you queue, like, I guess 3 friendly players that all have a negative aggression score together, they will go into a much friendlier set of matches. Obviously, whenever you go into squads, whether it's skill-based matchmaking, aggression-based matchmaking, any kind of matchmaking system will need to deviate some once you squad up, because it's always miserable when it queues off of the highest skilled player. The lower skilled players always taper off and stop wanting to play with that higher skilled player. There's just all sorts of reasons that we won't even get into about skill-based matchmaking. This is about aggression-based matchmaking and why it's stupid. But anyway, you end up in this trap where either you have to roll over for every fucking fight and act like a pussy and not engage with the PvP aspect of the game for fear of making your journey through the game, like, what is the game? The missions, like the quests or whatever you call them. And like in Tarkov, it's escaping Tarkov, you know, in Arc Raiders, it's raiding that Arc. I don't fucking know. The point
Where
is,
are the arcs that raid?
the point is, this is a video game. There is a game there, and choosing to make it infinitely more convoluted and tedious to play for no clear advantage or reward is absolutely asinine. Most players are just gonna say, nah, I'll just be friendly. Like, look at all these funny clips from these people being friendly, whatever. And they may occasionally encounter a toxic player. Maybe, you know, like a toxic player games the matchmaking, like you said. Like, utilizing a segregated matchmaking system like this doesn't actually do anything, because there will be those that will game the system. So, like, I guess in essence it could be argued that my point is null, because, you know, there will be people to game the system, so friendly lobbies will always have some toxic people sneaking in and whatever. But if that's not the norm, like, that's not the expectation, that's what I'm talking about. The expectation is that this aggression score will work. And fundamentally, I feel it is flawed, just due to the very nature of an extraction shooter and what makes them exciting, what makes them rewarding to play. Some would argue that they're not rewarding to play, and, you know, that is an opinion. Not every game needs to be made for everybody, you know? I don't know. Like, I complain about games a lot, or I'll say, like, I'm complaining about a game right now, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. I encourage everybody to comment and tell me that I'm a dumb fucking idiot and I don't know what I'm fucking talking about, because you're entitled to that opinion. However,
You're wrong.
you're wrong. However, I am correct, and everything the devs have said before the game came out would point to the fact that they actually agree with me. They just don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they know how to make a killer fucking game. I think the TTK and weapon balancing probably maybe needed a little bit of work just from my observations, but, you know, not complaining about that. Like, I've not played it enough firsthand to complain about the weapon balancing and shit, or, you know, the mission structure, or the skill trees, or any of that cool shit. Tell me about it. Comment below and tell me your favorite thing about Arc Raiders. I am more than happy to have this game do well. I want it to do well. I love Embark. I love the finals. Something good for Arc Raiders is good for Embark. And if it's good for Embark, it's good for the finals. Everybody can be fucking happy. Just not in this instance. In this specific Arc Raiders, aggression-based matchmaking, aggression score, tomfoolery. No, you can't make everybody happy. You know, applying yourself to the niche and make that niche happy. They are the ones that are gonna stick around playing your game. You might pull a few of the fucking Fortnite kids over, but are you gonna have fucking Kim Kardashian and Arc Raiders? I fucking hope not, you dumb fucks. They'll go back to Fortnite where they can stare at Kim's ass while they crouch, walk around so that the visual audio doesn't tell the whole lobby where they are. Let Fortnite be Fortnite. Let Arc Raiders be Arc Raiders. Let the finals be the finals. And, you know, just let the game do what it's supposed to do. Let it fucking cook. They didn't even really give it a chance to garner, you know, the mainstream. I mean, it did kind of mainstream popularity, like pop off or whatever. That's true. Like, there are a lot of viral clips, but like there was the very clear, they only worked in the context of, oh wow, look, he found that really funny guy and he was friendly and so they didn't fight. That's really cool because, in, you know, if it lacks the aggression score context, yeah, that is really cool. Look at that experience he had in that game. That's really organic and dynamic and emergent. It's very emergent. Emergence is great in games when it's authentic, but if you're fucking shoehorned into lobbies with people that are gonna circle jerk you all day, there's nothing special about that circle jerk. I want my circle jerks to be special, okay?
Special circle jerk. It's planned.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, but anyway, that's my opinion on aggression score and aggression-based matchmaking. And
Did they just put this in?
no, they've just disclosed it, and so this is why I have lost basically all interest to play the game that we bought 2 copies of because we love the developers. No, we bought 2 copies because my wife's impatient as fuck, and then she felt bad that she was playing my copy that she bought me for my birthday, and we won't even get into that. I wanted to play Arc Raiders, I just hadn't gotten around to it, and now upon hearing this, I've just lost all my Steam. But it is available on Steam, which is neat, and it's crossplay and all these other great things. There's a lot to love about the game. I don't hate the game. I don't hate the devs. I hate the decision to segregate the community. If PvE lobbies versus PvP lobbies and a selection to do so was not the right choice because of segregating the community, diverging them too much, like, which is always the big scare, the big scary thing in a game is adding another game mode and, you know, diverting the community, like splitting them up too much and then match times increase and all that crap. If that is the enemy, if that was the wrong decision because of the segregation, secret segregation's not any better.